Boom! Her underwear was on my nightstand, and they weren't mine. The second I saw that tiny red lace disaster curled up like a guilty little snake, I knew everything was about to implode. My dumb husband didn't even bother hiding the evidence. He left it sitting there like a declaration of war. And guess what? It belonged to her, my best friend. The one who gave that supportive smile when we got married. The one who texted me inspirational quotes every Monday. The one who literally stood next to me in a satin dress and pretended like she wasn't planning my downfall. Oh, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm 32, sarcastic, mildly vengeful, and as of last Tuesday at 4:13 p.m., officially done being the universe's favorite punching bag. Up until that very moment, I thought my life was at worst medium messy. I had a stable job, an overpriced wedding album collecting dust, and a husband who I thought was too lazy to cheat even if he wanted to. Turns out I misjudged the ambition level of a man who once microwaved a Pop-Tart. That day started out like any other. I was on my lunch break, bored out of my mind, half watching a YouTube video about how to perfectly roast vegetables like a smug little domestic goddess. Then I remembered I had left my work folder at home and decided to make a quick detour. I wasn't even planning to stay, just in and out. But the second I stepped into the bedroom, I saw them. Her stupid lacy secrets sitting right there, bold as sin. And the worst part? I recognized them, because I helped her pick them out. "Go on, girl," I'd said, laughing like an idiot while she held them up in the store. "Spice things up for your man." She wasn't spicing up her man. She was spicing up mine. I didn't cry. Not then. I didn't scream or throw things or set the house on fire like some chaotic TikTok goddess. No, I just stood there and stared at the evidence of betrayal so lazy, so basic, it almost felt like an insult to my intelligence. That was the moment I realized I wasn't dealing with masterminds. I was dealing with idiots who didn't even have the decency to cover their tracks. And that was before I opened the closet. What I found in there, that's when everything changed. Let's just say the panties were nothing compared to what they were hiding in plain sight. You ever find yourself staring at something so vile, so stupidly incriminating, that your brain just refuses to process it for a solid 30 seconds? That was me, standing there in my own damn bedroom, closet door wide open, eyes locked on a pair of men's sneakers I didn't buy, and a hoodie I definitely recognized. It was her hoodie, Madison's, bright orange, oversized, and ugly as sin. The same one she wore during that wine-fueled sleepover at my house 3 weeks ago when she cried on my shoulder about how lonely she was, and how some men just make you feel invisible. Yeah, she was real invisible, all right, especially when she was clearly playing Twister with my husband on my Egyptian cotton sheets. The worst part? I had invited her to stay that night, gave her my damn bathrobe, ordered extra takeout because she was going through a lot. Turns out what she was going through was my marriage. I reached into the closet, grabbed the hoodie, and held it like it was radioactive. I mean, who leaves their crap behind at their affair partner's house like they're marking territory? Were they proud? Were they planning a surprise reveal? I half expected to find a baby onesie with #1 homewrecker embroidered on it next. Now here's where things went from Netflix drama to, you've got to be kidding me. I opened the pocket of the hoodie and found a crumpled receipt from a sushi place I hate. Not just any receipt. It was dated the same night I was at my company's quarterly dinner, alone, because he claimed he had a migraine and couldn't make it. He had Ubered sushi with her instead. I snapped a photo of the receipt, then the hoodie, then the panties, because if I was going to unravel this circus, I wanted my timeline tight. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a DIY scandal unfolding in real time. I paced the room for a bit, adrenaline doing the tango in my chest, debating whether I should wait for him to get home and let it all explode face to face. But honestly, I couldn't trust myself not to throw his gaming console through the window and scream about soy sauce-infused betrayal until the cops arrived. So I did the next best thing. I started texting Madison. 3 dots. Then a full minute of silence. Then finally, "Hey babe, what's up?" I stared at that emoji like it personally insulted my ancestors. I replied with one sentence. "You left your hoodie. Should I drop it off at your apartment or just hand it to my husband when he gets home?" Delivered. Read. No reply. I smiled. That was the moment I decided I wasn't just going to confront them. I was going to enjoy it. Not because I'm vindictive, okay, maybe a little, but because these 2 clowns deserved an audience for the circus they built out of my life. And oh, they were about to get one. I didn't know a person could scream into a pillow and laugh like a maniac at the same time until I found myself doing exactly that. Half hysteria, half war cry, muffled into a throw pillow from Home Goods, while staring at the receipt that detonated my marriage. My brain was glitching. I wasn't even sure which part enraged me more, that my best friend was sleeping with my husband, or that they chose Sakura Sushi for their little date night betrayal when both of them knew I despised that place. I had food poisoning there once, so bad I hallucinated a conversation with my dead goldfish. That's the level of respect we're dealing with here. The rage simmered into something cold and sharp around the edges. That's how I knew I'd crossed over. This wasn't heartbreak. This wasn't even sadness. This was war prep. I started gathering everything. Her toiletries from the guest bathroom drawer, his dumbass protein powder from the kitchen, every picture frame with our happy memories that now look like stills from a hostage video. And then, oh boy, then I remembered the spare phone. You know, the backup iPhone he claimed he used just for work emails, that I'd seen exactly twice in 2 years, and always locked tighter than Fort Knox. The one he hid like it contained nuclear codes, only I'd spotted it a few weeks ago tucked in the back of his sock drawer. I hadn't given it much thought then. Now, different story. I grabbed it, and like a miracle from the petty gods above, it was unlocked. Just sitting there, wide open, waiting for Judgment Day. First app I opened, messages. The first name on the list, Madison. Over 300 messages, and I read every single one. These two weren't just hooking up. They were in a whole relationship. They had inside jokes, nicknames, plans. I mean, she called him my sweet chaos. Who even says that outside of bad poetry slams and cults? Worse, there were conversations about me. Mocking ones, passive-aggressive ones, a few outright disgusting. She still thinks you're sick, lol. Kayla's so clueless it's sad. You're too hot to be wasting time on her. I almost slipped up and called you babe last night when she was in the kitchen, Lmao. And the crown jewel. A message from 2 nights ago. We should tell her soon. I hate sneaking around. Maybe after your anniversary? Oh, my God. They were planning to announce it like it was a damn gender reveal. I dropped the phone and had to steady myself on the bed frame. The betrayal wasn't even the worst part. It was how casual they were about it. How normalized it had become for them to lie to my face, sleep in my home, and make plans to upgrade their affair into some public thing like they were the victims of a situation they created. That's when something shifted. I wasn't just going to confront them anymore. No. That was far too small for what they did. I was going to expose them, publicly, loudly, with the same level of grace and spectacle they used to destroy my trust. They wanted to play dumb? Fine. Let's see how they handle a little controlled demolition. And wouldn't you know, our 3rd wedding anniversary was coming up in exactly 4 days. Perfect timing. For the next 2 days, I played the part of the unsuspecting wife so flawlessly, I deserve an Emmy. Smiling like I hadn't just read a full novella of betrayal in his messages. Asking him about his day like I didn't know he'd spent part of it texting my best friend that he missed the way she bit his ear. Offering to pick up groceries like I wasn't actively planning his social execution. Honestly, I impressed myself. I should have been a spy. Or a motivational speaker for women who've had enough. I spent the quiet moments fine-tuning the guest list for my little anniversary surprise. It wasn't a party exactly. More like a curated gathering of people who deserved to know the truth. My parents, his parents, a few close friends, the real ones, not the fake smile types, and of course Madison. I told everyone we were doing a casual dinner to celebrate our 3rd year together, nothing too fancy. Just some food, wine, and a few words. He thought it was sweet, even offered to help with the playlist. Madison texted me separately to say she was so honored to be invited. She even asked if I wanted her to bring a cake. I told her sure, something layered. I swear to God, the audacity these two had was so bold it looped back around to being almost impressive. Meanwhile, I moved through the days like a woman on autopilot. Working, shopping, casually transferring every file, message, and screenshot from that backup phone onto a USB drive labeled, "Do not open unless you're a lying bastard." I made copies. Stored them in cloud folders, my work drive, my private email. If my husband or Madison tried to spin things later, they were going to trip over receipts so hard they'd never walk straight again. The hardest part was not overplaying my hand. I had to stay calm, cool, and just slightly oblivious. I had to sit across from him on the couch, watching him scroll through his phone, pretending I wasn't imagining breaking that phone in half and mailing one piece to each of them. I even let him kiss me goodnight, which I'm still mad about, honestly, because I'm pretty sure he tasted like betrayal and guilt, but I smiled through it. By the day of the dinner, everything was ready. The food was ordered. The wine was chilled. The USB drive sat inside a neat little envelope on the mantel labeled, "A gift for both of you." I had written a small speech. Nothing dramatic, nothing wild. Just a simple, polite few words to thank our friends and family for 3 unforgettable years. I stood in front of the mirror that afternoon in my favorite black dress. The one he said made me look like a boss in heels. And I realized something weird. I didn't feel sad, not even a little, because for the first time in months, I felt like I was finally in control again. The night of our anniversary dinner started off so picture-perfect it almost made me nauseous. Candles lit. Smooth jazz playing softly, like we were starring in some Pinterest version of marriage. My husband walked around refilling wine glasses with the enthusiasm of a man who had no idea his life was about to crumble faster than a gas station croissant. People were laughing, smiling. Madison arrived late. Of course she did, and waltzed in, wearing this little silk number that practically screamed, "I own your man and your dignity." She air-kissed me like we were still besties, told me I looked radiant, and had the nerve to hand me a red velvet cake with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, babe, I hope it's sweet enough," she said. I looked her dead in the eye and replied, "Don't worry. The night's about to get a whole lot sweeter." She blinked, but before she could process it, I was already clinking my fork against a wine glass and announcing that I had something to share. Everyone turned toward me. Even the Spotify playlist seemed to pause. I smiled. 3 years ago, I married a man I believed was the love of my life, I began. We built a home, shared dreams, and I trusted him completely. I also spent the last 6 months thinking I was just tired or paranoid. Turns out I wasn't. I was just being cheated on. Gasps. Genuine ones. People shifting in their chairs. My husband froze, holding a wine bottle mid-pour like someone had hit pause on his soul. "Madison?" Madison went sheet white. Her mouth parted slightly, but no words came out. Her eyes darted toward him like she was silently begging him to fix it. I didn't stop. I found texts, receipts, photos, literal panties in my house, in my bed. And not just any panties. Ones that belonged to the woman who's been sitting across from me for dinner parties, movie nights, and girls' weekends for over 10 years. Now there was dead silence, the kind of silence that sits heavy in the chest. "And because I believe in transparency," I continued, walking over to the mantel and picking up the envelope, "I made sure to collect everything. All the messages, all the lies, all the disgusting things they said about me behind my back. I put them right here. You're both welcome to take a copy home." I handed it to Madison first. She didn't reach for it. I dropped it in her lap like I was handing her a parking ticket. Then I turned to my husband. "You said you wanted a fresh start. So here it is. Your clean slate begins tonight, without me." He opened his mouth, but I raised a finger before he could speak. "No, you don't get to cry. You don't get to gaslight. You don't get to explain how it just happened, or how you didn't mean for it to go this far. You had months to mean something. You meant exactly what you did." Then I looked around the room. People weren't just stunned. They were horrified. His mother looked like she was about to faint. My father stood up like he was about to knock someone out. And before anyone tries to talk me down or ask me to be the bigger person, let me make this clear. I was the bigger person. For years. While they were laughing behind my back and texting each other from the bathroom while I was cooking dinner, I took one last sip of wine, put the glass down gently, and walked toward the door. No crying, no screaming, no breakdown, just silence, and the sound of Madison finally whispering, "Oh my God," like she just realized the oxygen in the room was no longer hers to borrow. I didn't look back. Let them sit in the wreckage. I had better things to do. The next morning, I woke up to 47 missed calls, 3 voicemails from my ex-husband sobbing like a kid who lost his Xbox, and a single text from Madison that just said, "You didn't have to do it like that." I stared at my phone for a full minute, trying to decide whether to laugh, scream, or throw it out the window. I ended up tossing it into the laundry basket and making pancakes, with whipped cream and bourbon. Turns out, public humiliation makes a killer appetite. I spent the rest of the day watching the fallout unfold in real time. My best friend Jess, an actual friend, not a discount backstabber in designer knockoffs, started sending me screenshots from group chats I wasn't even in. Apparently, my little presentation had lit our social circle on fire. Everyone was talking. Some were stunned. Others said they always suspected something. One person asked if this was a stunt for a podcast. But the best part, his mother called me to apologize. This woman once told me I wasn't nurturing enough for her son and suggested I should read more books about femininity. Now she was on the phone whispering, "I can't believe he did this to you." Like she wasn't one of the reasons I used to cry in the bathroom after Sunday dinners. I let her talk. I even thanked her, but I didn't offer comfort. That ship sank with the red lace panties. Meanwhile, he was texting from every platform possible. iMessage, Instagram, email, LinkedIn, for God's sake. Telling me how sorry he was, how it didn't mean anything, how he felt trapped and never stopped loving me. He actually said, "Can't we just go back to before everything got complicated?" Like I could just erase a year's worth of betrayal with a snap filter and a positive attitude. Then came the cherry on top. Madison went full damage control. She posted a long, teary-eyed selfie with a caption that said, "Sometimes people make mistakes when they're hurting. I never meant to cause anyone pain." Comments were off. Of course they were. But not before a few mutuals messaged me screenshots and said they were unfollowing her for good. And honestly, that gave me more joy than I expected. Not because I needed people to choose sides, but because for once, I wasn't the one shrinking, minimizing, smoothing over the discomfort. They were the ones exposed. They were the ones scrambling to explain themselves. I stayed quiet. Not because I was being noble. I just didn't have to say anything else. My silence did more damage than any rant ever could. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine, lit a candle, and sat on my balcony scrolling through Zillow. I wasn't sure where I'd end up yet, but I knew one thing for sure. Wherever I went next, it would be somewhere they'd never be invited. 2 days later, I got served. Emotionally, not legally. Though the way his new email was worded, you'd think he was preparing a closing argument on Judge Judy. The subject line, "Please read, I'm begging you." The body? A 10-paragraph manifesto so drenched in delusion I had to read it 3 times just to understand if it was satire. He started with the classics. I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared of how distant we'd become. Then came the twist. He blamed me. Said I'd checked out of the relationship first. That I didn't make him feel seen. That I was always tired or sarcastic or busy and pushed him into someone else's arms. Oh, so I worked 2 jobs, handled the bills, cooked, cleaned, listened to him talk about crypto like it was a religion, and somehow my exhaustion was his reason for screwing my best friend? Cute logic. Let me know how that defense works in therapy. And just when I thought he'd hit peak audacity, he ended with this gem. You and Madison are the 2 most important women in my life. Please don't make me choose between you. I laughed so hard I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered, much like his grasp on reality. I didn't reply. I didn't even breathe in his direction. Instead, I sent the email to my lawyer, not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted documentation just in case. Because the man who once claimed social media is a scam had now started messaging people on Facebook trying to get sympathy points and explain his side. What was his side? That he accidentally tripped and landed in Madison's bed? Repeatedly? Meanwhile, Madison was spiraling in her own direction. According to Jess, she was now telling mutual friends that I had always been emotionally abusive, and that she never planned to fall for him, but it just happened. She even claimed they weren't really sleeping together until after I found out, as if technicalities changed the fact that she was dry humping my marriage from the inside out. Then she made the biggest mistake yet. She tried to reach out to my sister. I got a screenshot 5 minutes later. Hey, I know things have been crazy, but Kayla and I had a complicated dynamic for years. I never meant for this to happen. My sister's reply. Delete my number forever. I swear I almost cried. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in years, someone defended me without asking for the full backstory. That night, I stood in front of the mirror again. No makeup, hair in a bun, sweatpants. And for once, I didn't hate what I saw. Because beneath the tired eyes and mild stress acne, there was a woman who had finally stopped apologizing for not being small enough, quiet enough, forgiving enough. There was a woman who was finally free, and damn, she looked good. It's wild how fast the world moves on when you stop holding it together. The calls slowed. The messages dried up. Madison vanished from our friend group chats like an unpaid tab, and my ex, well, he finally stopped begging when he realized no one was buying the good guy who made one bad decision narrative anymore. In the silence that followed the chaos, I did something I hadn't done in years. I started reclaiming space that used to be mine. Took back my Spotify account, deleted every shared playlist, and made a new one called Songs to Block Men Too. Reorganized my closet, packed up the wedding dress, the photos, every souvenir from a life that now felt like a bad Airbnb I stayed at too long. The final straw came in the form of a letter. Yep, a real one. Handwritten, on notebook paper. Folded like it was passed in a middle school hallway. It was from him. Said he needed closure. Wanted to talk in person. Said some part of him would always love me. Some part? As if I was a subscription he forgot to cancel. I didn't write back. Instead, I took the letter, folded it neatly, and fed it to the shredder 1 inch at a time while eating a granola bar and playing Lana Del Rey. Dramatic? Maybe. Cathartic? Absolutely. Then came the message from Madison's boyfriend. Not my ex-husband, her actual boyfriend. The one she forgot to mention. Apparently, she'd been juggling both men for months, and he found out the night of my dinner stunt. One of his friends had seen the posts flying around and connected the dots. He thanked me. Actually thanked me. Said he was about to propose and I probably saved him a decade of therapy. For the first time in this whole mess, I laughed so hard I snorted. The more I pulled back, the clearer it all became. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just done. Done explaining myself. Done defending my reactions. Done giving second chances to people who wouldn't even give me the truth the first time. I wasn't bitter. I was awake. And once you wake up, you can't unsee the fire you were sleeping in. 6 months later, I barely recognized the woman who stood in that dining room with shaking hands and a smile sharper than a divorce attorney's pen. I thought that night would break me. Thought I'd spend months crying on the floor, dissecting every word, every moment, wondering how I didn't see it coming. Turns out, I wasn't broken. I was finally unburdened. I moved into a new apartment. Smaller, quieter, mine. No more shared closet. No more compromise about which side of the bed belonged to who. I bought a ridiculous pink couch just because I could, and I hung art he would have called too weird. Every time I look around, it feels like breathing without someone else's hand on my throat. People still ask about him sometimes. Not because they miss him, but because the story became that story. The one people whisper about at brunch. She found out at their anniversary dinner, they say, wide-eyed. Like I'm urban legend now. I don't mind. Let it echo. Let it remind people not to mess with women who pay attention. As for him, he tried to start over. With Madison? Briefly. That collapsed in less than a month, predictably. Apparently, she expected relationship perks with zero consequences. Who knew the woman who slept with her best friend's husband had commitment issues? He moved back in with his parents. I heard through the grapevine that he's working on himself, which I assume means posting vague quotes on Instagram about accountability while ignoring the fact that he blew up his own life with a match he lit and then tried to blame the fire alarm. Madison disappeared, deleted her socials. Word is she moved out of state, probably hoping a new zip code would wash the mess off her. But betrayal sticks. No matter how far you run, your reflection knows the truth. And me? I'm good. Actually, I'm more than good. I sleep better, laugh louder, say no without guilt. I go on walks alone without wondering if someone's texting behind my back. I flirt with the barista who remembers my name, not because I'm trying to move on, but because it feels nice to be seen without being used. I learned something in the ashes of it all. People will ask you to shrink for their comfort, to forgive too soon, to smooth out the jagged edges so no one gets cut. But sometimes, the sharpness is the point. Sometimes you need the blade to remember how much you bled, and I remember, but I'm not bleeding anymore.